Hello and welcome back to SML Total Access. I'm Primetime 000 and with my two co-hosts Matt and Dan. What's going on, fellas?
Not, and let's get lit on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
All right, and hey, what better way to get lit than on first down? And we'll start with Matt, actually. Hey, NFC South is very interesting. A lot of people thought maybe that was the best division in the league, but it seems like Dan's kind of pulling away. What's your thoughts on that, Matt?
I'm not going to be the guy that says I saw this coming because it's easy to say that now. But you could kind of see the writing on the wall even in the first couple of seasons. The Saints start out as a really good football team, Madden team, and they fall off. Future hasn't really done a whole lot. He has not addressed that quarterback situation at all, really. If you watch his games, that really hurts him. He just lost Cam Jordan, I believe, Demario Davis to retirement. I may be wrong on that, but I know he lost some big players. That really hurts. Those guys cannot just be replaced, especially when you don't see it coming. Doink. Without Brady, he's had Brady. His success in this league has pretty much been Brady and Rodgers. I know he'll talk about his Mariota days, but he needs that quarterback. It's very clear. He's won 2 games. He's sometimes not even competitive. Uh, Faz is kind of the one that I didn't see coming. I don't know what's going on here at 3-4. I think he'll right the ship because it's Faz, but not where I'd expect Faz to be. If I was looking at this, I would think that he went on a vacation because that's kind of what his record looked like last time that he did. And then Dan, so Dan is the guy that his team's gotten better. He is, where I've said the Saints and the Bucks have gotten worse. Dan's just got better. I mean, Russell Wilson has really put him over the top, and it's clear to see why he's running away with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised where we're at, to be honest, because I do think this is one of the best divisions in the SML. And you look at our schedule this cycle or this season, sorry, it's not one of the killer, schedules. We're not playing high end other divisions like we had in the past, where you could look at the record and say, well, that's because of the schedule. I think these three teams, Faz and Doink and Future, have just not played well. As simple as you can say. I mean, Faz losing to Finns. Finns has gotten a few players, and it's getting a little bit better. But again, someone like Faz, like that's just hard to explain. Some of Doink, some of Future's losses, they should be winning more. I think again, some of them will right their ship. I think Faz will be fine. I think Future and Doink will probably be there fighting for the seventh seed, but they got to get it together. And right now, early on, it's kind of amazing that we're halfway through the season here, and the division's pretty much over. I don't see myself losing 5 games. So I think this division's over, and I don't know if we can be one of the top divisions if these guys keep it up.
Yeah, I was a little stunned to see, we're in what, week 8 now, week 9 maybe tops, and I mean Faz is already out of contention to win the division. And I mean, he's 4.5 games back at least, and he hasn't been playing well. No games on auto, no excuses. He's just not playing well. Doink face guaranteed a playoff win this season, and he's probably not even going to make the playoffs. Like he's 2-5. Like and he's stubborn. It was stubborn about his quarterback situation. He let Brady walk, last season and try whoever his quarterback is, and it didn't go well. He didn't make the playoffs, and he doubles down this season and doesn't make any moves to get a quarterback. And hey, that schedule doesn't lighten up. He's still got Dump. He's still got D-Muse. He's got Paulie, Dan again. I mean, it's Spooky on the schedule who's playing well. I mean, this guy is in trouble with the guarantee. And Future, he's always been up and down. And again, Future not the greatest team builder. He'll probably even tell you that. And if you're not a great team builder with that Saints team, you're probably going to struggle. I'm a little surprised that Faz, though, again, 7-8 games into the season, is out of the contention really to win the division, and he got embarrassed against Dan. I mean, this guy, after that Super Bowl loss, legitimately looks broken.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing about. Oh, sorry. I'll say one thing about Doink real quick. And you talked about the quarterback. He missed his chance to get Aaron Rodgers. Noel was benching that guy after one.
Yep.
He benched him after the first drive on me. He didn't even do anything wrong. His receiver dropped the ball and he took him out. He was so down in the dumps on Aaron Rodgers. Doink, I would have thrown at the kitchen sink at Noel to get him.
That day, an hour after that game, you do it.
Yep. And now he beats NYT with Rodgers, and well, he's not. He's committed. He said he's committed for the rest of the season. Sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I was going back to what Prime said about Faz. Some of the things that I can understand with Fast trying to work in a new offensive weapon, trying to figure out this running back, try to make up for some of CMC's issues that he has, and I think that's a good move from Fast. But what's completely inexcusable, and I don't understand it at all, is that defense. I do not know how Faz cannot play better defense, how he just doesn't lock players down. His secondary, his speed on the edges, he's got every single piece you need for a great Madden defense. I know defense isn't the easiest to play, but you can do some things on it. You can figure some things out, and his defense just looks completely lost. I think in the last 12 quarters that I've played against him, I think the only time he stopped me is that one interception I threw in the playoff game. So he is not be able to figure out defense, and I think that's what's gonna end up costing him. And I see an early exit for Faz this year. I think someone's gonna catch him in the playoffs because he is not playing good defense right now.
Yeah, one final thing I want to say about Faz is I know he kind of, I hate to say this, but he kind of threw up the excuse like, well, I'm still adjusting to my toys or whatever. Okay, everybody is. Like, I got a new receiver. Everybody's making moves. You didn't trade for a new quarterback or anything like that. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's still in the game quite a bit. That's kind of a lousy excuse for what is a great team and for a quote unquote big five player to lose defense and to just get walked off against you, lose to dump, controller gate or not. It's inexcusable. It's inexcusable with that team and with who people expect him to be. He's got to find a way to fix it. Anyway, well, we could go on about that all day probably. So let's move on now. Topic 2 here. Hey, speaking of dump, he's playing right or wrong. He's 6-1, got a few forced wins, whatever. But him and Bomber are playing tonight, Easter Eve. Dan, who needs this game more?
Yeah, but before we answer that one though, have we ever seen anything more funnier than what happened with Paulie and Dump? I mean, was that the funniest thing you've ever seen in CFM? I mean, I don't know. I know we'll talk about it at some other point because I can't even get all my thoughts around. But anyway, it's back to Dump and Bomber. I think this game means more to Bomber than it does Dump, and here's why. Dump, if he wins this, everyone's going to say, well, whatever, he's going to lose in the playoffs anyways. Win or lose in this game for Dump, he's got to win the playoffs. But Bomber needs to start to reestablish himself as a dominant force. And the way that you do that is you go out and you beat some of these guys and you beat them convincingly. You stick to your game plan. You pound Chubb. You hit your tight end. You hit Shorts. You add in a few wrinkles, and you just dominate a game like this. And it won't mean much in the end. It won't mean much, record wise. It's not going to matter, but it's going to mean something for Bomber and getting that swagger back. He's just got to get that swagger. Not talking like Dump, but just the way that you go into a Bomber game and you think, crap, I'm playing Bomber. I'm in trouble here. He needs to reestablish that. And so I think this game's more important to Bomber.
Yeah, I think it's hands down more important to Bomber. From a actual league standpoint, not looking at the players themselves, but Bomber's 4-3, and he's in the tougher conference, in my opinion. He's easily in the tougher division. I think the AFC or the NFC East is just dumping Pauly. I know DW shows flashes, but I don't see the consistency. But I think Bomber needs to win. He's still got a tough schedule. Well, he's got computer meat, so that's really going to help. He'll escape that one. But he's got Dan. He's got Monty twice, who I don't care 3-4. That's a tough matchup. He's got QP and he's got Prime. He could very easily miss the playoffs if he drops some of these games, especially in a tough AFC. But I think Dan hit the nail on the head with Nick Chubb. When Bomber won the Super Bowl, Nick Chubb averaged 9.1 yards a carry. Bomber missed the playoffs. He averaged 6.1. Bomber made the playoffs last year. He averaged 8.9. And you know what he's averaging this season? 5.5.
Wow.
So you're seeing a trend here with Bomber where he goes as Chubb goes. He's got Schwartz. He's got that little dig and go. We know the Bomber plays, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you're playing the good competition. He goes as Chubb goes, and you can see it in the stats. It's right in front of your face.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, standing wise, it's more important for Bomber, and I think, and I said it last episode. I called him out. I said, "Hey, Bomber, he's not in the Big Five anymore. It's the Fantastic Four, and I might be kicking Faz out soon. That might just be the trio between me, Dan, and QP. But I'm not ready to do that yet. But this is a big game for Bomber. It's a bit of a crossroads. I think he's in a crossroads of his SML career here. You know, he won his Super Bowl and he's kind of gone out with a whimper since. And a loss to Dump, who a lot of people look at Dump as kind of like Meats, a good player. He's going to win some games, but probably not going to do any real damage in the playoffs. If Dump can find a way to beat Bomber and pound his chest over Bomber, I mean, that's going to really, I think, affect Bomber. And Matt, you hit the nail on the head with Chubb. We all know who really leads that team. You know, whether patches happened or people got better, Chubb's no longer as effective, and we've seen Bomber suffer from it a little bit. This is a crossroads for Bomber. This season is a crossroads for Bomber, and a lot of things have happened between trading Baker Mayfield and different things like that, and he's gonna have to either nut up or he's just gonna kind of have a disappointing cycle after what a lot of people thought was gonna be a dynasty, I think, in Cleveland. But moving on to third down here, guys, do you have anybody you want to challenge to take the next step in the SML or take a step up in their game?
Yeah, I'll start on this one. I've got an honorable mention, and then I've also got my actual mention. And my honorable mention is NYT. NYT has the Cardinals, who have two of the most important Madden players. That's not the right word, but they're just two guys that no other team has, and every team would love to have. Kyler Murray's got like the mutt ability set: escape artist, gunslinger, pass lead elite. He's fast as heck. And then he's got Isaiah Simmons on the other side, who is the best user in the league, I would imagine, and that's very important. So I'm going to challenge NYT's in a weak division. I don't care how Spooky and Field are playing. I think they're starting to come back down to earth a little bit. So with that team, he almost beat Dan in the playoffs not too long ago, and that would have been interesting. But he's my real one is Clink. I've seen Clink play like Super Bowl level football, and then I've seen Clink get blown out by Knoll 27-3. He's got he took the Lions. We know we're patient. That's a building process, but he's built it. He's got the pieces in place. And with Faz struggling, and maybe Clink's that guy that upsets Faz in the playoffs, although Faz seems to have his number. But to me, everything, he's 6-2. He's got a schedule that he's gonna make the playoffs. I think Clink is my challenge to make the next step. He doesn't have to make the Super Bowl, but let's get to the NFC title game.
Nice. I think that's a good one, Matt. I like that. I'm actually going to the same division in your honorable mention, but I'm not going NYT. I'm actually going Spooky. He's got a 2-game lead right now over NYT halfway through this season, and so far that division has been pretty much a joke. No one's even talked about it. No one's even mentioned any other team other than NYT. So this is Spooky. This is your chance. This is your moment. You got a 2-game cushion. You've got an opportunity right in front of you to win the division, and let the SML know that it's not just NYT's little backyard little play toy that he gets to do whatever he wants with it. That you're gonna step it up. You're gonna look evil right in the face, and you're gonna say, "Not today, not today, evil." And so, Spooky, I want you to win that division. Put NYT in his place.
I've got two, and one, hey, this might be biased, but hey, I've got Field. He's second place in that division, and he plays Grams, NYT, Spooky, Fig Newton, Colt 45, Woods. I mean, this two steps on the schedule. Gunna's on there, who's 1-6. Hey, Field could win this division as well. That division is literally a 3-horse race right now because I don't know what happened to Gunna, but he's fell off a cliff apparently. But my AFC one is D Muse. He seems to really not like the Big Five or the Fantastic Four, and he's on a mission to kind of end that. And I know he beat me, and he kind of sent a message with that game, but he's gonna have to do it in the playoffs. He's gonna have to knock off, not only a great player, but make a Super Bowl. He beat QP, but he's going to have to make a Super Bowl. And, His biggest hiccup right now is defense. Last year, his defense was great. This year, he's got the 32nd ranked defense in yards and pass yards. I mean, that defense is pretty bad. So, anyway, I was just, if D Muse wants to be recognized as the player he wants to be, he's going to have to make a Super Bowl. So, moving on to fourth down here on Total Access. SML has had a few things happen here. I announced a trade rule update. I've also added a channel for the submissions for SML Insanity, which is going to be a new show where guys submit highlights or lowlights or glitches or bad coaching clips into the channel, and I'm going to make a show on it, like a top 10 every week. And Dan, we'll start with you. What do you think about these changes?
Well, first of all, are you feeling okay, Prime? Are you all right?
I've had a gun held to my head. I'll just say that.
Okay, I was gonna say a new trade rule and a channel in less than 24 hours. Like, I feel like you might have hit your head or something happened.
Yeah.
But anyways, talk about the channel real fast. I think a few people have tried this method. I think a few people have gone this route. Hasn't been as successful. It's kind of faded away. But I like the idea that you're doing it in the channel. I like the idea that you got to push it from the community. It's really the community's effort to make it happen, not just Prime's effort to put it together. So if the community of SML can get these clips together and put them in that channel, I think it'll be really good. I'm looking forward to that. I'm more excited about that trade rule. And I'm not just excited about it because of what's going to mean for this offseason. I think that's going to be one that's going to have huge implications on really, really smart team building. So say you've got, that X factor, 26 years old, coming up for a contract, and they want a 5-year deal, and you're looking at that and saying, wow, by the time they're 31, they're going to be this and that, and do I want to deal with that? And you say, you know what, maybe I'm just going to tag them for 2 years until they hit 28. You know what I mean? There's going to be some smart decisions that are going to be needed to play out in the next coming off seasons. Probably maybe not this cycle, but even more as we go forward. That's going to really, really add depth to how smart we can be in team building, and it's going to add in kind of the sharks out there as well too that are going to start, going after guys, looking at it. Okay, this guy's got 28, and maybe they start DMing him. Hey, you don't want to sign him. You don't want to sign him. Trade him. Trade him. I'll give you this. I'll give you this. I think it's going to add a lot more to it. Not quite as much right away, but I think in the future of SML and the ability to build your team, it's going to add more depth to it. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, on the I'll touch on the new channel real quick. I think it's a cool idea. I think someone last cycle did it for a couple of weeks, and I thought it was really cool. I know it's a lot of work, so the community involvement will be huge. So please send those clips in. But I like it because the guys that don't get talked about a lot on the shows will maybe they'll get their highlights on there, and that would be really cool to see. As far as the trade rule goes, I'm in the middle. As someone who hasn't even made a trade since the blip, I obviously don't feel either way about it. I like the idea. I mean, it's a little bit more realistic. I know some guys think that just because it happens in real life, we should do it in the SML. I never understood that, but I think it's good. It'll give a little bit more flexibility in for those cap strap teams. I'm a little worried about how it's going to affect free agency. We'll have to see. Free agency is usually a dud as it is. This could make it even worse because those players that might hit free agency, like a Devonte Adams or something, will now probably get traded. Um, I'm also a little bit worried about I don't want to name names, but like Fig or someone like that, maybe who the trade rules have generally protected players like that for the most part from doing something really, really bad. And now that's gone. You could see them get rid of really good players and maybe tip the balance of the league a little bit. So I like that Prime's taking a let's see how it goes approach. This may or may not be permanent, and I think that's what you have to do is just hey, let's just see how it goes. And if it's a total miss, just revert it back. So I like that Prime's open to giving it a shot.
Hey Matt, before Prime jumps in here, I want to. I've heard of a underground rumor. I want your opinion on this. I've heard that Prime's thinking about it. Not from Prime, but from other people. I've heard he's thinking about making some of these owners have kind of a GM that they can't even make trades themselves. They got to have a GM because they can't make the right trade or they always make the wrong trade. What do you think about forcing teams to have a GM?
Yeah, I don't know about. I think that's what the trade committee's for. But I've been a big proponent, and I'll just make this quick. I've told Fig on every one of his bad trades. Well, I've stopped now because it's not getting through. Talk to Dan. Dan, you've always been open about helping players
Yeah.
unbiasedly. I'd like to see more of that, running it through the guys they think they can trust to get a read on a trade.
I think that's just smart. Yeah, I don't think Prime will actually make that rule, but I think it'd be smart to do something like that to help some of these guys out.
Yeah. So real quick about that channel. I think it'll be cool because in the past it was always been highlights, and I'm trying to spin it to where it's just like, oh, anything can happen, you know. Hey, Noel kicked a field goal on third down. Let's clip this and let's have fun with it, you know, things like that. And again, if the community doesn't get involved, we delete the channel and we move on. But it's worth a try to spice things up here in April. As for the trade rule, which obviously is a bigger deal, I do want to say Tyreek Hill and Devonte Adams would still be free agents with this trade rule because we do have an overall cap on it. So guys like that would still end up as free agents. You know, um, it's a little still a little conservative. It's not the full blown meets or doink idea where everybody who hits their last year of their deal is a free agent. And I spun it to where like if guys who get rookies purposely can't trade them right away, you know, after their deal's up. Like Trevor Lawrence can't be traded, you know, in the last year of his contract, of his rookie deal anyway. So I think it'll be good for the league. I think it's something that I'm gonna very closely monitor, and I might have to tweak ages and overall limits a little bit. I'm not saying that's completely done, but at the end of the day, when we do things like this, I like to compare it to, I mean, if you want to compare it to the real NFL or anything else, you know, when you add a member who's a bit of a risk, or you make a rule that's a little bit kinky, we're not doing brain surgery. We're not actually drafting real NFL players. Nobody's life is on the line. Nobody's job is on the line. I mean, at the end of the day, I can snap my finger and that guy can be removed. This rule can be changed, and we can go on to live our lives just the same as we did yesterday. So it's a try, it's a test, and it may go well, it may not, but we're gonna find out, and we'll see. I don't know. That's all I really have to say about it. But overall, I think it's good for the league. NFL's changing, and we're gonna see if we can try to keep up with it a little bit. So, Matt, I think it's time for your five.
Yeah, so I've gone away from just naming the top 5 teams in my opinion and just had some fun with it. But we're almost halfway through the season already. We just fly through seasons here in the SML. So I'm going back to the roots. I'm going to give you my power ranking top 5. Of course, I always have 6 because I'm indecisive. So I've got an honorable mention, and that is Dump. He is 6-1. He has a better record than some people on this list, but he's got controller gate against Faz. He's got a couple of forced wins, so I had to leave him off. I just he doesn't. I haven't seen enough. At number 5, I've got Paulie. I think Paulie's playing really good football, and he really has been playing really good football for a season and a half now. His only losses were, I can't wait to talk about that whole situation. But the Forest lost to Dump. I'll leave it at that. And then he lost to Prime week 1, and there's no shame in that. That was actually a really good game. If anybody caught it or remembers it, great game against Paulie and Prime there. At number 4, I've got QP. He lost to DW. That's why he's a little bit lower here because the guys above him have better losses. But I think we're starting to see QP be a little bit more back offensively. He had that game against RD that I don't care what RD's record is. He's a good player. He's a veteran. But I expect him to win these games a little bit more handedly, and I know there were some rain issues with Lamar, but QP's at 4, and here's where the controversy starts, guys, and please hear me out before you turn away. At number 3, I've got Dom, and Dom really only has 1 loss, and that's to Bomber, and it was a pretty bad one, but he did bounce back and beat Prime. I'm convinced. I'm on the Dom train. I said it yesterday. I think Dom is the one guy that can kind of demolish this Big Five narrative that I of course started. He's playing really good football. At this point, if he makes the AFC Championship, I'm not even going to call it an upset. I think he's playing good enough football to where he's on the level of those guys. At number 2, I've got Prime. I do have Prime above Dom, and I know there's going to be some controversy about that, but I watched that entire game from start to glitch to finish. Prime was down 17-0. He scores a touchdown at the end of the half. He's going to get the ball back. They desync. Prime comes out. T-Muse doesn't even really score for most of that restart. And Prime scores a touchdown to win the game with like 10 seconds left and gets called for holding. I know it's a loss. I'm going by the eye test. I thought Prime played a better game holistically, and I've got Prime, but you could switch those two. Um, and then number one, obviously, I've got Dan. He's the only undefeated team left. He's blowing out good players consistently. You blew the brakes off of Faz. You destroyed Doink, who he's a good player. I mean, he doesn't have that quarterback, but he's still a good player. So I I don't know. There was some talk about, and I don't want to jinx Dan, but somebody was bringing up 19-0 in the chat. It was probably QB because he's got all his accolades on his Twitch. But I,
By
Dan's
the
got
way,
a
not
tough
real quick.
schedule,
I
but
don't even have my accolades on my Twitch. By the way, just want to throw that out there.
but Dan's got some tough games. He does have Bomber, he has Pauly, he has Dom. But the way that Dan is playing, uh, I think we're on 19-0 watch. I know it's premature, but I like what I see out of the way Dan's playing right now.
Real quick, Matt. If Dan can pull it off, he could be the first 20-0 player in SML history.
Oh, yes, thank you for the correction. 20-0.
And you know what? Dan's playing good. And I think Dan and I are a little similar this post blip because we both got bad teams. The Colts and Falcons weren't really great teams, and we had to get better at playing. And our teams got, obviously, Dan, I think you won Super Bowl season 1, which, that was very impressive. But I think you're a better player now than you were then, especially with Russell Wilson. And I think you are right now the best player in the league this season. And hey, I'm ready for a Colts Falcons Super Bowl. So I take that. I agree with the list. I think Dom did. He beat me. But I think eye test history's got to play a little involvement there. And I think I'm still a little bit better than Dom this season. And it'll be interesting to see what we see from QP as well, who appears to be getting his swag back, but isn't quite yet there.
Yeah, I appreciate all the comments. I'm trying really hard to be cautiously optimistic about my team because I think anytime I start talking a little trash or start getting a little arrogant, I think the good Lord puts me back in my place and takes away Kyle Pitts or takes away Deion Jones and any kind of injury to my team. I've got a good team, but any kind of injury, I don't have great depth, so that could affect it. And I do have a really tough schedule coming up. Not only I got Pauly, I got Bomber, I got D Muse, I got Clink, I've got Dump. So any one of those guys can catch me. But the biggest thing you guys nailed on the head for me, from my perspective, is having Russell Wilson. Now I can actually use the other side of 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, and so now you got to cover the whole field.
Yeah.
And I think that's changing the way that I get to play. I do agree with you, Matt. Even though we'll make fun of you a little bit, I do agree. I think eye test is sometimes more important than final score. And so I have no problem with you having Prime there. I think QP is an interesting one. I can't get my finger on him whether he's taking a step back or he's just disinterested and bored. I know that's not an excuse, but it's also a reality that all of us would admit. Like when you start winning, big games in the playoffs and Super Bowls, you look at week 5 in the regular season, you're like, well, maybe I'll try some new things or maybe I'll do something, and you're not quite as focused. So jury's still on that. The rest of it, you know what? Hey, I think a lot of teams could be up there. But I think overall, good list, Matt. Good job again.
Good job, Matt and Dan. Good analysis there, guys. Hey, SML Total Access. We're nearing 29 minutes. A little long episode, but hey, good content, guys. We appreciate you listening if you stayed in this long and be posting in that channel. Don't be doing any stupid trades. Real quick, I want to say the trade committee will probably vote a little bit harsher on those trades that are using that new rule. So just be ready for that. Don't get pissed at me, even though I know you will. Hey, that's SML Total Access. That's Matt. That's Dan. I'm Prime. Everybody, thanks for listening and have a great day.